Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so what does it actually take to turn a regular, everyday early learning classroom into a vibrant hub of childhood resilience? Well, today we are unpacking a highly actionable, asset-based framework that totally rethinks how our physical spaces interact with families and the wider community. If you've ever wondered how to literally transform a simple room into a foundation for lifelong strength, you are in the exact right place. Let's get into it.
Let's kick things off with a quick mental exercise. Think back for a second. Who actually taught you how to share? Try to picture a giant physical web of yarn, right? And it's connecting you to your parents, your grandparents, your former teachers, coaches, and maybe even the neighbors who live down the street. When you visualize that network, you start to see this beautiful, undeniable truth. A child never, ever arrives at a center alone. They're bringing their entire family, their neighborhood, and their rich cultural history right through that door with them.
And this web of connections is actually the foundational truth behind the Alabama Standards for Early Learning and Development, or ASELD. It shows us that a child's social understanding isn't built in a vacuum. It starts out deeply rooted at home, then expands outward into peer play structures, and finally anchors in neighborhood resources. So ultimately, the family and the neighborhood are the core forces directly shaping a child's worldview, setting the stage for how they navigate literally everything else.
To help us apply this, we're going to look at our classroom ecosystem through a few different lenses today. We'll cover the child's social ecosystem, then the mirror view, the window view, and the bridge view. After that, we'll reframe our mindset toward resilience, and finally, look at some incredible resources for the journey.
All right, Section 1, the child's social ecosystem, specifically focusing on the environment as a teacher. Let's put the child right at the center of their social ecosystem and recognize one absolutely crucial fact. The physical classroom is never neutral.
Because it's never neutral. Every single book you put on a shelf, every display you hang on a wall, and every material you choose, it all speaks directly to whose culture, whose family structure, and whose values are validated in that space. It's kind of like an ongoing, silent conversation with the kids about who truly belongs. The environment itself is constantly teaching them what matters most.
Now you might be wondering, why does this environmental connection matter so deeply? Well, to put it into perspective, children who miss just 10% of the school year, which is the threshold for chronic absence, are significantly less likely to read on grade level by the third grade. That's a massive, life-altering impact. But here's the good news. When we actively engage families and intentionally make them feel seen in the physical space, attendance improves. And when attendance improves, a child's opportunity to learn and thrive absolutely skyrockets.
So how do we make them feel seen? That brings us to Section 2, our first practical lens, the mirror view, which is all about reflecting the home environment. The mirror view is explicitly about validating a child's home life. We're talking about moving way beyond those generic store-bought posters of smiling cartoons. Instead, imagine placing real-life family photos of every single child directly at their eye level. When a kid walks in and sees their own family looking back at them, it sends this powerful, immediate message: your family belongs here and you belong here. To really optimize this mirror view, we have to look past standard family trees and dig just a little deeper. It means making sure the classroom library genuinely features diverse household sizes and parent occupations. It means naturally integrating primary home languages into comfort zones. One of my absolute favorite ideas from the blueprint is creating a classroom heritage binder. Just imagine a space where parents contribute a favorite family recipe or a lullaby passed down for generations. It actively bridges that rich home culture directly into your daily classroom reading and learning.
Okay, so if the mirror view reflects the child, let's move to Section 3, the window view, which builds outward to connect to the neighborhood.
The window view evaluates how your environment introduces children to the broader community right outside their doors. So it's time to ditch the generic clip art careers. You know, the standard cartoon fire truck or the generic chef outline. Instead, we can stock our dramatic play centers with authentic props and realistic tools sourced straight from actual local businesses.
The main goal here is to deeply anchor a child's sense of geographical belonging. By focusing heavily on real, non-stereotypical occupations from your specific area, their learning is grounded in reality. You can even take photos of the kids walking the local markets or playing in nearby parks to construct child-friendly photo books highlighting actual neighborhood streets. It literally grounds their learning in the community they navigate every single day, making the wider world feel super familiar.
Moving outward once more, we hit Section 4, the bridge view, examining the center-to-home connection.
This lens looks at the visible structures connecting your center staff directly with family members. It's actually amazing how designating an interactive parent board can completely transform a simple, chaotic drop-off zone into an active, two-way communication space. It's no longer just the center sending a one-way stream of information out. It becomes a welcoming, dedicated space for parent notes, well-wishings, and weekly home highlights to come in. It invites families to be active participants.
A strong bridge view is ultimately about predictability and shared language. Think about the incredible power of coordinating emotional vocabulary across spaces. For instance, teaching both parents and kids to breathe like a star when they get frustrated. By providing parents with the exact same visual transition schedules you use at school, you create absolute predictability between environments. Elevating these home traditions as daily classroom anchors acts as a massive protective factor against stress for the child.
And speaking of protective factors, Section 5 is reframing for resilience, where we make that crucial asset-based shift.
Traditionally, a lot of early learning programs lean heavily on a deficit approach, right? It's highly compliance-focused, managing behaviors in isolation, and sending those dreaded behavioral checklists home. The problem is, it often just alienates families and makes them defensive. The asset-based shift, however, means building protective factors through inclusive partnerships. Instead of one-way updates about what went wrong, educators and families co-create sensory routines across both school and home spaces, working together as a unified team.
The power of this communication reframe is just incredible when you put it into practice. A standard deficit approach isolates the difficulty. It tells a parent he had a hard time sharing and listening today. But an asset-based resilience approach highlights the rising skill instead. You might say, he took great initiative selecting a spot on the rug today. Tomorrow, we're going to practice taking turns with our microphone. See the difference? It's collaborative, it's positive, and it keeps the family engaged as an essential, respected part of the child's team.
Now, building these mirrors, windows, and bridges takes real support. So for Section 6, Resources for the Journey, we're looking at some incredible tools from Sesame Workshop.
Sesame Workshop is an absolute powerhouse for early childhood development. Get this number. A massive 74% of parents feel Sesame Street helps prepare their child for school. 74%. That statistic alone validates it as a deeply trusted bridge between home and learning for the vast majority of the families you serve. It's a resource they already know and feel completely comfortable with.
What makes Sesame Workshop so uniquely valuable is that they offer deep, accessible resources on some really tough realities. Whether it's helping parents explain autism, navigating habits for digital well-being, an emergency family guide called Let's Get Ready, or even dealing with heavy stuff like divorce and parental addiction, these tools empower educators. They give you the precise language and compassionate frameworks to support families through the whole shebang, from everyday routines to major life challenges.
So, what does this all mean? Building resilience isn't just a lesson plan you check off a list once a year. It is a daily, living commitment to community, woven right into your physical space. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to look around your own environment. Based on the lenses of the mirror, the window, and the bridge, what is one specific environmental change you will make to your space tomorrow to show a child they truly belong? Think about that as you walk into your center next. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.